Okay, you should get the card probably about 2 weeks. And congratulations, I'm proud of you.
Thanks for helping me fill that out too.
All right, no problem.
Like if they live through the struggle for us to have it, why should they keep always reminding us of that struggle? Because if you keep reminding us of that struggle, we're gonna once again not pay attention to you. I mean, as a younger generation, we might not take it as seriously as they did, but once again, once y'all had it, y'all really didn't, no one actually taught us that we should take it that seriously. Like it wasn't just, they got it, they didn't teach, they maybe taught their kids, but after that, it just dwindled off. No one actually got to us and was like, this is what you need to do. Voting does this, this, and this for you. And no one actually explained that to us, I feel, and that's why we just left it alone.
So Mobile was different, but it was not as progressive. I think Birmingham and Montgomery became more progressive because they had to work harder for what they got.
Mobile was an unusual place because they felt that everything was well here in Mobile.
Some people would say that the civil rights movement largely escaped Mobile. Some attributed it to being a port city that was used to having lots of, quote, foreigners.
My whole life basically was segregated. I attended segregated schools. I lived in a segregated community, and that was pretty much the norm in Mobile. There was very little communication across racial lines.
I remember as a little boy coming downtown, a friend of mine, we'd come down here and we'd shine shoes across from the police station in front of this barbershop. And the one thing we had to do, we couldn't drink anything before we came because we didn't have access to a restroom downtown. So we had to work all day without going to the restroom. So we were very careful about drinking liquids until we got back home.
I grew up in this neighborhood. My mama said she brought me here when I was 2 years old. And at that time, it probably been 100 people staying out here. And when I growed up, we didn't have no streets. We didn't have no ditches, and we made our own pig trails, to go from place to place.
38 bullet holes sprayed my. One came through that wood there, over there, the piano. One went through the wall in the dining room, came out and landed in the wall in the house. 38.
Look at that. That's a bayonet cut right there. They stuck bayonets in there right there, and they stuck bayonets in there when I was leading on March, when they beat me up and stuck those bayonets in me. Hit me up here. Knocked me just about out. Ended up in the hospital. Those were the days way back there. But they were real. They were real. And I think about things like that, trying to firebomb Miss Williams' house. But all that kind of stuff went down back in the days.
My daughter, she just left here a few days ago. She has a place on her hip. She was sitting on the porch. A Klansman threw a tear gas on the porch right beside her and burnt her on her hip. For a long time, if she saw somebody burning something and there was smoke, she'd come running saying, tear gas, tear gas. And I believe to this day that has a psychological effect, had a psychological effect on her, because sometimes she act like she's still running from tear gas. And she says she never will forget that experience. She was rescued by a white person who had come in to help us in the movement. So there were some people whose heart was moved to help us in the situation that we were trying to get out of.
I was the Mobile correspondent, photographer, distribution manager, ad salesman, everything that needed to be done for a weekly newspaper called the Southern Courier that was headquartered in Montgomery and was created to cover the civil rights movement. Most of the local media, if it paid any attention at all, viewed the movement with a hostile expression from the outside, and the Southern Courier was created to cover the movement from the inside in a non-hostile but accurate fashion.
The door of segregation didn't rock down. It was knocked down. And had we not knocked it down, we would still be in the plight that we were in prior to 1969.
There came a time when a man named Joseph Langham, who was a lawyer, got elected, the lesser of two evils. And as the story goes, he worked with John LaFleur to help make different things happen. And just as importantly, to keep different things from happening.
Some people, they can't prove it, said that, going back to what you were saying about that statue, that Joe Langham, the mayor, for a long time, had a money deal going on, a donation money deal going on with John LaFleur, because John LaFleur would always deliver the black vote to who?
Joe Langham.
Joe Langham.
And his roster of candidates. And
That's real.
I did prove it. I mean, I wrote an article about
That's
this.
real. That's
I
real.
talked to some of the candidates who had been approached and donations solicited from them by LaFleur and his associates to get their name on the pink ballot. And if they declined to pay, then their name was not included. And they resented this because it meant they were going to lose the election, and they were willing to talk. And I didn't see any sign that LaFleur was using this money for his personal benefit, but it certainly contributed toward the operation of his organization and kept that and associated ones going. There may have been some other people in the group who dipped into the till, but there was definitely money involved.
My first knowledge of being able to vote after coming from World War II, I was kind of bitter because when I was discharged in Mississippi, I had on a uniform, but I had to ride the back seat of the Greyhound bus. When I got to Mobile, I had to go in the back of the Greyhound station. When I got home, I found out that even though I had been to the Army and had been overseas and been a part of one of the bloodiest battles that was ever fought in the Pacific, I still was not able to vote.
In the times, up until 1965, there were people that were associated with government that would deny people the right to vote based on their race. You know, back before 1920, it was based on gender, and up until 1965, people actually tried to prevent people from voting if they were not white.
I was in Greensboro, and girl, you talking about jubilation? We won, we won, we won. We went into service. We went into a worship service. Child, there was some shouting going on for the fact that we didn't have to go through we didn't have to pay no more poll tax. We didn't have to explain the preamble to the Constitution. All we had to do is just go and sign up.
Mobile was a little bit different though, because Mobile since the 1700s had always had free blacks, and so you had people voting, African Americans who were voting in Mobile long before the Voting Rights Act was passed.
Well, even before then, there were efforts to register blacks to vote. but it was extremely difficult, in most cases impossible, because of the questions that were being asked and how difficult it was to come up with answers for them.
They were outside. Attended Murphy, and they were just outside of our auditorium one day, and me and my friends just happened to be walking by and we saw it, so we signed up, registered to vote.
Do you guys feel like it was an important thing to do?
Well, my friends, we felt like we should do it since like we were of age at that time. We felt like we should just go ahead and do it, but I don't think we really took it seriously right then until after we started looking, since we could vote, until actually we started looking at what we were gonna start voting for. So I don't think we took it seriously then, but we understood later on how serious it was.
Mobile had a lot of problems. When it came to people registering to vote, people were really discouraged from registering to vote. Many people didn't even try anymore. It really was a hard fight. There were a lot of people in the community, John LaFleur, a number of others who, Wally Bolden, Michael Figures, all of those folk who were out really trying to encourage people to go and vote, because they always would say you can change things with your vote, and the vote was valuable. So eventually there was a voter registration movement that took place, and some people did register, a lot more than were registered from the beginning, but not nearly enough. As well as today, there's still not nearly enough that register to vote, especially young people.
See, the young people don't. Hey, young man, you register to vote?
Yeah, man.
And I just wanted to know, see, because I register people right here every day.
Somebody today?
I
What
register.
you mean like register to vote? Like I'm old enough, but what you mean by that?
You know, just like you start, you fill your paper out.
Oh, I need to do that?
You ain't never been registered?
No, I ain't never voted.
How old you here?
I'm 21.
Huh?
I'm 21.
Okay, go look at my truck out and get a paper. She might have a pencil in there, and I'm gonna register you. I register people every day. I register them every day because it's important.
Everything happened at Dorothy Williams' house, and her old car, Bluebell, was the voter registration campaign vehicle for the whole county.
Yes.
And much of the time, that's all the voter registration campaign consisted of, her and Bluebell. And she would pick people up off the street, almost kidnapped them off the streets.
Yes.
And take them downtown to the registrar's office and put them in the line and go get some more and take them downtown and put them in. She was tireless and relentless in doing that. All of those things were centered in her house, right around the corner from where we're, a few blocks from where we're sitting.
Yeah, her
and
house.
That's where Now was founded for the same reason.
That's right. That name was created by Dave Underhill in Dorothy Williams' home. What happened, we had a meeting in Ms. Williams one Sunday, I believe, and she said, we're going to form an organization. I said, I want y'all to go and come up with some names and bring them back next Sunday, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the next Sunday, I had 3, Dave had 3 or 4, and somebody else had some. We all agreed that the one of those that Dave brought in, called Neighborhood Organized Workers, was the best name we could use. Now, Ms. Williams had a brother named Vernon Crawford, who was a lawyer in those days. He took that name, and Ms. Williams gave it to him, Neighborhood Organized Workers, that was created by Dave, and he incorporated it. And now existed as an incorporated organization in Mobile County. I went to Beasley's home with Neighborhood Organized Workers' name and information about it. Because Beasley had heard a little about it at this time. And I said, man, we need you to come in and help. And he formed got a group of guys together, and boy, they incorporated, they took over the name Neighborhood Organized Workers. And woo! Mobile was not the same anymore with them.
Now was an organization that actually ran protests. Actually was a lot more forceful than actually the Nonpartisan Voters League. Some people think that Now probably was the organization that led to more change than the Nonpartisan Voters League.
Now should be remembered as a vessel that made a positive change in Mobile as far as bringing to the forefront the feelings and rights of the minorities in Mobile?
The biggest change, I thought, and I think, was the fact that there were now black leaders other than John LaFleur who were able to get the attention of large numbers of African Americans.
I am living proof that now can succeeded because I could barely, in 1969, I could barely drink water in City Hall. Now I'm the third highest ranking official in the city government. So we made our way. It's like Dr. King. You can kill it, you can kill the dreamer, but you can't kill the dream.
The legal actions that happened that has had the most profound effect is when we went to what was called one man, one vote. Prior to that, you would run at large. At large simply means that you run, when you, for example, if you ran in the city of Mobile, everybody in the city of Mobile had to vote. You had to vote, got an opportunity to vote for you or against you. In a district election, the people who know you, who live in your community, who basically, I guess, have the same interests and concerns that you have, those are the people who vote for you. So in a situation where you have a minority population running at large, it is highly unlikely, well, historically, it's been highly unlikely that whites voted for African Americans. It just didn't happen.
If you were running for a position in the county, then everybody in the county had to vote on you. Currently, I represent District 1. I'm not running at large. Only the people in my district and in my community, in my neighborhoods, can vote for me.
Well, the three commissioner system was a system at large where they didn't represent districts, they just represented the whole city. And actually, in the black community, we really had no input into that. None of them represented us, so you just pick somebody to vote for, really, at that point. But it was a system where rarely did they even come to the black community at all.
The chairman of our House delegation, I was a House member, appointed me to serve as chair of the committee to draw a choice between mayor, council, and the districted form of commission. So you know, we just had to smooth out some things. But the bill finally passed in '85, and we had the election, and people overwhelmingly voted for the mayor council form. It seemed like the American way.
The most important thing I saw doing elections was that. You know, being born and raised in Mobile and living through the 60s and all those things, I could see what happened back then, what's changed, and how people's hearts and minds have changed. I think that's very, very important. But the most important thing I think that happened was the character of the community changed. People, for at least this time, dealt with people based on the content of their character, not the color of their skin. And I think the other thing that happened is those opportunities are now available that were never available in the past. So, you know, I was involved in a lawsuit once where I had to testify, and it was the districting of judges throughout the state, making every judge run in a district. And the lawsuit was placed because the black plaintiff said that no black person could run at large as a judge, running at large. They would have to be in districts. And Judge Wood, who's here, who's the lawyer for the other side, asked me the question, do you think that a black person could be elected at large in the city of Mobile? And I said, absolutely not. That cannot happen. It will not happen. And he said, well, I think you can get elected. And this has been 15 years ago. And after my election, he reminded me of him saying that. So he was the person who swore me in as mayor.
Well, there's an old saying about the more things change, the more they stay the same. That's true here too. The legally enforced segregation system was destroyed by the civil rights movement, and it is gone. What remains is the issues that the civil rights movement did not address, and that's economic segregation and apartheid, and that is becoming greater and more entrenched in this area and everywhere. And without a movement to address that, it will continue to produce a divided society, not based just on race, but on income and economic situation and privilege, or the lack of it. That's the next issue that has to be addressed by people who want to live in a saner and more humane society.
This is what I'm saying to the young people. Even though you have seen others fail, the future is in your hand, and what you do will determine how I live out the rest of my life. And I pray that as you look and as you view this video, that you will be inspired by a 90-year-old man to be the best that you can be.
Road is long, yeah, head down, ain't let none deter. If that dream's deferred, you know it's never gonna happen. Darkness consumes, can't seem to find my way.
This lonely road so long, lucky we going home. Passing it slow cause our only coverage is blowing zones. That's why we going long, so what's the goings on? Ongoing and forever, so it's clever. Switching tones, getting grown. Ignorance gets the throne. Atonement is unbeknown. This will get you disowned. Looking for broken bones into these sticks and stones. In tone with Sierra, just to get the Leon. And diamonds just get refined. In time for coal to be treasure. The road is that of gold, but not driven to get to heaven. Predator to these galaxies, after me stars of dust.